This episode of the Million Pound Mission podcast is being brought to you by our friends at Waku. Waku is an herbal tea made with a blend of functional herbs that support gut health. It is hands down the most refreshing and tasty gut health drink you'll find. If you find the taste of kombucha to be a bit too strong, you'll be pleasantly surprised with Waku. Similar gut health benefits with a smooth and refreshing taste. Go to livewaku.com and get 20% off your first order by using the code TASTY20. That's LIVEWAKU.com. Now, on to this week's episode. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Million Pound Mission podcast. It's your buddy Adam, the PhD, the previously heavy dude, and this is episode number 350. We are talking about exploring the benefits of functional mushrooms with my friend Danielle Ryan Broida. And this one is another unique conversation on a topic that I've been wanting to bring up lately, and Danielle is an expert. Before we dive into that, let's catch up, my friends. How are you doing out there in podcast land? Episode 350. 350 of these suckers. I'm really, really happy with the feedback I've been getting from you guys, so thank you for your support. We're picking up some steam here in Million Pound Mission land. You guys are sharing it with your friends. That's always super, super appreciated. If you have any ideas for the show or people you want me to interview or any feedback, you can always hit me up on Instagram at Million Pound Mission. We got some cool interviews coming up. So also a lot of cool stuff happening inside of the community with our 28-day cycle. We are in week number 2, and we've got group chats this week. I'll be bringing an expert, hopefully Danielle. We're working on that currently. Hopefully we're going to bring Danielle in to speak to our community virtually in a Zoom chat. So that's going on. And then next week is week 3. We're going to be doing a challenge week on week 3 as usual. We're going to do a low-carb challenge where I'm going to challenge people to keep their carbs per day under 100 grams. And if you're already like keto or carnivore, we could set a lower carb goal, but I think that'll be fun. And so that's what we got going on inside of the group. It's also the beginning of July. I am taking new applications for the 28-day coaching that I do, so you can hit that up at Million Pound Mission. We'll just dial in your nutrition, your fitness. It will dial in your transformation danger zones. We'll have weekly video chats and daily contact via what I refer to as the client hub. The hub. And it's going really, really well. I enjoy it. So if you have been looking for some coaching, then head on over to the website, millionpoundmission.com. That's also where you can plug into our free community, and there's all kinds of great resources on there for you to dig into. What else? July. I've got my 40th birthday is coming up next month. Holy cow. I'll be 40. August 26th is my birthday. So my wife was teasing me because she says I'm having some old man things, some turning 40 things happen to me. I woke up with vertigo the other day. I thought I was on drugs. Since this is the mushroom episode, I was like, what's wrong with me? The room was spinning. Like I puked my guts out. I was like, what in the hell's going on? I've never had vertigo before. I've never known anybody that's had vertigo. And my wife's a physical therapist. She did a few voodoo tricks on me and got me back in alignment. I guess it has to do with the workings of the inner ear. You get some crystallized situations happening in there. Things get shifted out and it throws your balance out of whack, and it sucks. So any of you hashtag vertigo sufferers out there, I feel for you now. I've experienced it. That's about it. Good things are happening. I think I'm going to do an episode coming up where I just talk about what I've got going on as far as the current fitness regimen I'm using, nutrition, supplementation, sleep routine, all that stuff, and just kind of, I get a lot of questions about that, and maybe it's an interesting topic that we should put out there. So let me know if you are interested in that. Okay, I think that we are all caught up now. Let's dive into this week's episode. Again, we're talking about functional mushrooms. I know a lot of you have probably never even thought about using functional mushrooms to improve your health. But the topic has been picking up a lot of momentum, especially over the last few years. And today I'm bringing in an expert to help us figure out if functional mushrooms are the right choice for our health journey. My friend Danielle Ryan Broida is a key player in the worldwide mushroom movement as a registered herbalist, or should I say herbalist, I feel like if I was like Ron Burgundy, he would say herbalist. As a registered herbalist of the American Herbalists Guild, certified holistic nutritionist. She's a instructor of mycology. She is with the National Education of Four Sigmatic. Four Sigmatic's an awesome company, by the way. We'll talk about them a little bit. And she is just a huge resource in this whole world. She's teaching the world about the importance of a life on functional mushrooms. In this episode, we talk about exactly what in the world is a functional mushroom and what are the largest misconceptions that she's out there trying to clarify in the world of mushrooms. We also talk about how functional mushrooms can impact areas like sleep, energy, focus, and the immune system, and a lot more. And then we wrap up talking about best practices when using functional mushrooms and what to look for when shopping for a high-quality product. You are going to enjoy this one. Danielle is super informative, and she delivers the message in a way that we can easily digest it. So without any further delay, let's dive into episode number 350, Exploring the Benefits of Functional Mushrooms with my friend Danielle Ryan Broida. All right, Danielle, welcome to the Million Pound Mission Podcast. How are we doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited because this is a unique conversation that I've never had on this show. I'm a huge fan of Four Sigmatic and functional mushrooms. I am taking my lion's mane and my reishi every single day, and I'm just really, really excited to bring your knowledge to my Million Pound Mission audience. And I thought that since this is such a unique topic and you're a unique expert, I thought it'd be interesting to kind of tell the story of how you became an expert herbalist and a leader in the functional mushroom movement and a partner with Four Sigmatic. So maybe let's start there.
Yeah, I love it. So the journey began. There's so many different places I could point to where the journey began, but for this morning's purpose, we'll start in my early 20s. I graduated from my undergrad in environmental studies, and I took a one-way ticket to Asia. I was really called to Southeast Asia. So I went over there and started working for a travel company. And I was actually leading trips out into the backcountry, into hill tribe villages. And it was more of a environmental adventure focus. But the undercurrent of what I began to learn was traditional lifestyle. So we would live with hill tribe people, and everything about their way of life was so deeply connected to the earth. So we would not only go out and harvest fiddlehead fern from the forest for dinner, we'd also go harvest different medicines. So different barks and leaves and flowers. And it was this first eye-opening experience for me of medicine being available through nature firsthand, and how that is still so alive in so many cultures. So I lived over there for about 3 years and jumped into any opportunity I could to learn about natural medicine, from Ayurveda in India. I lived at an ashram for a while, studying there and studying yoga. And I became a detox coach and raw food chef, just kind of dabbling in all these different things I could to try to gain this knowledge. And after a few years, I moved to Boulder, Colorado to formalize my studies. I went to the Colorado School of Clinical Herbalism, and that guided me on a clinical path. So after grad school there, I opened a private practice called Danielle Ryan Wellness, and it was really interesting. I didn't have a focus or a theme of my practice. I kind of just opened the door and said, whoever's meant to show up will. And what that led to was a lot of individuals who basically said, I've tried every practitioner under the sun, and you're my last resort.
Wow.
No one can figure out what's going on with me. So it was a lot of autoimmunity, a lot of chronic illness, all sorts of issues that the Western world said, sorry, we don't have a label for this. We don't have a pill for this. Like, you're on your own. And in these really extreme bodies, there was actually not a lot of plants, like the plant medicine, that were safe and effective for me to use. So I actually started focusing on functional mushrooms. They were one of the most effective options for this huge range of bodies. So I before I knew it, I had a functional mushroom based practice, which is super niche and super bizarre, but I absolutely fell in love with the power of these mushrooms and what they can do. And I really wanted to have a bigger reach. I'm like, I want this incredible medicine to be accessible to more people than I'm able to see on a one-on-one basis. So I ended up. I now teach at the grad school that I went to. I teach mycology there, and a couple years ago joined forces with Sigmatic as our national educator. So my job is really to educate and inspire people about the world of superfoods, and of course, the focus being functional mushrooms.
Yes, how cool! What an awesome journey you've been on. And the first thing that popped into my head when you were talking about being with the hill tribes, like, were you instantly just like, I'm in, I get it, or were you a little bit skeptical when they were digging up roots and making magic potions? Or like, how long did it take you to kind of convert over to like, okay, this is legit?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I was intrigued. I definitely think there was some flags up of what's going on here. There was also, so I speak Thai, but when I was in some of these hill tribes, they actually don't even speak Thai. They speak Bakanya, so this local hill tribe dialect. So it was not only what is this medicine, these roots and barks on the table, but also being translated through Bakanya to Thai to English. And so it was really interesting to assess, okay, what's actually happening? What are we talking about? What's legit? And yeah, I think that's part of it, but there was this strong intrigue. There was something in my gut that was like, this is incredible.
Yes, awesome. So let's say that there's somebody out there that is kind of feeling a similar interest but slightly skeptic with of like, okay, functional mushrooms, how real is this? Like, can you give us any examples of things that you've seen where somebody was feeling like a lack of energy, or something that is just very simple, like sleep, energy, weight loss, anything like that you've seen a noticeable difference when people apply functional mushrooms?
Oh my gosh, we could talk about all of them and how incredible the transformation is. But when you brought up energy first, and I love introducing people to this mushroom called cordyceps when they don't really believe in natural medicine. I do a lot of events and in-person speaking tours, and I always ask, does anyone not believe in the power of natural medicine or in functional mushrooms? And there's always a few that raise their hand. And I actually give them a packet of our Four Sigmatic cordyceps elixir at the beginning of a talk, and then say, all right, I'm going to check back in with you in about 20, 30 minutes and see how you're feeling. And it's amazing. So a lot of these natural allies, they take time to build in the system. They're not band-aids. So they're really meant to be taken long term. They build and they nourish the system. But cordyceps is one that is kind of fun to get people to really be believers, because you can feel it pretty quickly. And it's really helpful to go to the origin of where some of these mushrooms, or even with our plants, where they came from and their original uses, to kind of get an idea of how they can help us in modern life. And so with cordyceps, right, this energy get going mushroom, it is actually found in the wild at above 13,000 feet. So it
Wow.
grows, right? Super high elevation, typically in the Himalayan mountains. So think of northern India, Tibet, China, Nepal, Bhutan. And the first recorded use was Sherpas, so mountain climbers up in the Himalayas. And they had these big animals, they're called yaks, these big furry animals that they would bring on these trekking tours with them. And they noticed the yaks would be munching on this little odd, almost like worm looking mushroom, and then having so much energy. They would be jumping and going wild. And they thought, okay, that's interesting. And at some point, ended up ingesting it themselves. And what they realized is they were able to hike to higher altitudes easier. They had more energy, more capacity to essentially take in oxygen as the air got thinner and they climbed higher. And that's exactly what's happening when you ingest cordyceps. There's no stimulant in it, like caffeine. There's nothing that's temporarily propping up your system. It's actually increasing our body's ability to uptake oxygen, which gives us this really incredible sense of energy pretty quickly. And so, especially if you maybe want to work out or you have goals to do X, Y, or Z workout, but it feels challenging, cordyceps is an amazing ally to almost just make it easier, to give your lungs that increased capacity to work and to move. So it's incredible. Each mushroom does something totally unique, but when you brought up energy, cordyceps is that star. I really couldn't encourage it more pre and post workout to really build, nourish the system and just kind of give you a little boost. It's like, I gotcha. I'm here to help you out.
Yeah. Yeah. Cordyceps are awesome. I actually, when I first started out with training people, I had a little band of MMA fighters. So like conditioning is super, super important for those individuals. And I got a hold of some cordyceps and we noticed a huge difference in their conditioning drills. I would time them on everything, how long it would take them to get through circuits, things like that. And they were all blown away. Now, we noticed something else. These were all male fighters, and they swore that there was like a Viagra effect to cordyceps. Is this true, or is this false?
This is not false. So our original nickname, some people call it cordyceps or Himalayan Viagra.
Okay, so there is science to this. Okay.
I mean, what's happening is there's a vasodilation happening, right? So our body is increasing its ability to uptake oxygen. And so we feel that everywhere in the body. And that can be, what you're talking about. In my clinical practice, I would use cordyceps a lot with clients who had asthma, right, to help them uptake oxygen in their lungs. But it's everywhere. There's increased oxygenation happening in the bloodstream. So it can absolutely lead to, kind of this Viagra effect too.
Boom, there it is. I wasn't just making it. I thought, that they swore by it. They're like, man, there's something to this. Excellent. So let's talk about the other kind of bookend of, we want to have energy throughout the day, but we also want to sleep very effectively. And one of my favorite functional mushrooms that I've gotten from you guys is the reishi blend. And it's just amazing. Like it works so well. So let's talk a little bit about reishi and the different benefits of that.
Yeah. And I love talking about sleep almost as a way to support energy the next day as well. So, really trying to look at taking functional mushrooms and herbs, supplements in a holistic way, almost as a cycle. So, when you take something like reishi and when we get really deep sleep, it can actually enable us to have more energy the next day, right? So, they're totally interrelated. And I just want to say that because each of these functional mushrooms does so many things. They each have many different functions depending on whose body they're taking them, whose body's taking them, and at what time. And that's kind of what adds to the magic of them, right? They're not an isolated pill that's designed to have the same effect in every body that takes them. They're actually working with your body. It's like matchmaking. It's this living energetic being matching with your own unique energetic being of yourself. So anyways, they have all these functions and I love setting that up. And then to make it more digestible, we kind of put a word or a character with each mushroom so that it can be easier to understand when and why to take them. So reishi, amazing. She's known as the queen of mushrooms. So in traditional Chinese medicine, which is one of our oldest recorded records of natural medicine, there's different rankings. So they rank plants and mushrooms based on their potency, their power. And reishi is the number one herb in the whole Materia Medica, this entire encyclopedia of natural medicine. So
Wow.
Incredibly revered mushroom. Actually, originally, reishi was only allowed to be taken by kings and queens and emperors. because she was thought to be so special. Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So each of these mushrooms has this wild story. And yeah, reishi is just so powerful in so many ways. But so I love kind of setting that stage before we talk about reishi as our chill mushroom, which is the word that we have associated with reishi in the four Sigmatic world. So we call reishi chill or balance. And what she can do is really enable us to um, basically unwind to support the nervous system and the stress response. And so it's not that reishi's sedative in any way. It's not like, a herb that will directly put you to sleep. It's that she's supporting the stress response. And in turn, we're able to get a really deep night of rest. So I almost encourage thinking about this like the way that we as humans evolved to deal with stress. So we think about the stress response originally arising when there was an animal coming to attack us. You've probably heard this before,
Yep.
right? So an animal is coming to attack us, and in response, the body floods our system and our bloodstream with different hormones to give us enough stamina to fight the animal or run, fight or flight. So our bloodstream is pumping with cortisol and adrenaline, and we're in survival mode. And it's actually a really brilliant technique to give us enough energy to keep ourselves alive. But when we're in survival mode, many other functions of being human, they take the back seat, right? Because our energy is focused on keeping us alive. So when we're stressed, when we're in that survival mode, our body isn't telling us, oh, I'm a little bit sleepy right now, or I'm a little hungry, or, what all these other parts of being human, they're in the back seat so that we can keep ourselves alive. And it's important to think about that today because so many of us are in a stress response, at least in some level, most of the time.
Right.
It's as if when someone cuts us off, boom, stress response driving, or someone yells at us, boom. I mean, it's constant. And people ask, hey, why am I gaining weight? Why am I not getting correct digestive signals? Like, why can't I sleep? All these secondary functions of being human are not working properly because we're stressed out. And so this is where reishi comes in. And once, it's such a root based way of healing. So, the opposite of a band aid being root based, when our stress response is supported, when we can get out of survival mode, it's as if all these other functions are able to be restored, that we're actually able to hear and revitalize our body's natural messages and get back in tune with that. So, depending on how stressed you are or what time of year you're taking reishi, there can be really amazing effects that you might not have even thought had anything to do with stress. It's like, wait, why are you giving me something for stress when I asked about, diet or headaches or sleep? But it's almost that first veil. It's like pulling off that first veil and then being able to see more clearly what's happening with the body when stress has been removed from the picture.
Yes. So are there any best practices with reishi as far as when you should take it? Should you take it with a meal or by itself? Time before bed, anything like that as far as the protocol goes?
I like to say the medicine doesn't work if you don't take it. So it's really about tapping into things you already do. If you're already used to doing something before you go to bed, awesome. Perfect time to add reishi in. But if that's not habitual for you, then I would encourage looking at what is a routine for you. And that's our whole mission is what existing routines are you practicing every day? And how can we almost sneak these functional mushrooms into those routines to make it a habit? The way that the ratio is going to work is taking consistently. So more than trying to start, a new habit of drinking reishi when you've never done that. It's like, what do you already do? Do you make a smoothie? Cool. Throw in some reishi powder there. Do you make coffee in the morning? Awesome. Throw it in there. Like what is going to be easy for you And that's when I would encourage taking it.
Nice. So even if you take it like in the morning, it's not going to necessarily like make you groggy during the day, right?
Right. Yeah. It's not sedative. It's not going to put you to sleep. It's really just supporting that stress response, which sometimes can even give you more energy. Sometimes I'll take reishi first thing in the morning with my cup of coffee, and it really eases um, the jittery kind of caffeine effects and gives me this smooth, balanced energy throughout the day. But this can get confusing for people. So I guess if we had to put reishi in a box, afternoon or evening to start, so that you can remember, okay, this is my like chill unwind. But just so you know, it won't put you to sleep. There's no wrong time to take reishi.
Nice. And I've heard some fitness people talk about taking it in the morning, and then I knew there were some questions about that when I talked about it. So I'm glad that you cleared that one up. And it's more like if you take it at the nighttime, it's your body should be kind of like an airplane coming down for a nice soft landing. And that just facilitates that, right?
Exactly. I love that metaphor.
Excellent. All right. My metaphor game is strong. All right. Let's talk about chaga. That's another one that I've really enjoyed. I know that it's when we talk about detoxification, we talk about, immune system strength. Those are big topics right now as we deal with the whole COVID-19 situation. So let's talk a little bit about chaga and how that can help us.
Yeah, chaga is incredible. So, as reishi is our queen of mushrooms, we call chaga our king of mushrooms. And this is a really great segue to understanding where our mushrooms come from. So, we'll kind of zoom out a little bit because I'm realizing people might be like, what the heck is a functional mushroom? And I've never heard of reishi or cordyceps. And so, what we're talking about when we say functional mushrooms, they're not like the mushrooms that you chop up and put on your pizza, right? They're very, very different. And chaga is such a potent example. I wish maybe we'll attach a picture of chaga to the show notes. But most of these functional mushrooms, they grow on trees. So where a lot of the culinary varieties, even psychedelic varieties, poisonous varieties, most of those mushrooms grow from the earth, from the ground. Functional mushrooms grow on trees,
Hmm.
and they're often really hard and conky, and they don't taste or look like the classic mushroom, the mushroom emoji, the image that comes in most of our heads. They look really different, and chaga is a prime example of this. It almost looks like a growth, like a big. Have you seen chaga?
I have, yes, I have seen pictures of it. Yeah.
Isn't it like, what do you think it looks like?
Like some sort of like tumor, like it's
Totally.
not something you'd want to eat. Like you're just like, oh, I'm going to pick some of that up and eat it.
Right. No, and you would never think it was a mushroom. Like
Right.
if you didn't know. So yeah, I just want to draw that difference and be like, one, these don't taste like any mushroom you've ever tasted, right? They don't have an umami flavor to them. They're almost more bitter, earthy, like tree bark-esque. And it shows where they're coming from. So they're growing on trees. They all grow on different trees. Chaga is actually a parasite to primarily birch trees. So it's really important when we're talking about mushrooms to know where we're sourcing them and what they're growing on. And so for us, chaga, we wild harvest, which means we go out into nature and we get our chaga from the actual forest that it's growing in naturally. And we wild harvest our chaga from the largest birch forest in the world. It's called the taiga, and it's located in Siberia. And it's this big conch that's growing on the side of trees. And the story, or a story that I'll bring up with chaga, is so our company's roots are in Finland, and Finnish people drink more coffee per capita than any country in the world. It's insane.
That's a fun fact. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, it's like 5, 6 cups a day average.
Wow.
Crazy. And around World War II, there was issues importing sufficient amount of chaga into Finland. And so the country's freaking out. They're like, what should we do? And they realize that there's this chaga mushroom growing on the birch trees all over Scandinavia. And so they start brewing chaga tea. So they're making this, what we call a decoction with chaga tea. And it has a really similar flavor to coffee. It's this nice, bitter, earthy coffee alternative. And when you get the chaga from the birch trees, so it's from the Siberian birch chaga, and you extract it in a proper way, which we can talk about later if we want, it has one of the most antioxidant rich, like more antioxidant properties than almost any other food on the planet. It's insane. Like one of our packets of 4-Sigmatic chaga elixir has equivalent antioxidants to 30 pounds of carrots.
That is insane. That's a lot of carrots.
It's a lot of carrots. So we call it our defend mushroom, right? I think of it like our daily bodyguard. It's when our own bodies are so full of antioxidant properties, when our immune system is so strong, you can walk into a room of a bunch of sick people coughing and hacking all over you, and your body will not be a host for whatever they're carrying, right? You're your own daily bodyguard. So chaga is so important all the time, but especially right now as a really kind of root-based way of supporting and strengthening our immune system.
Yeah, and it's just huge right now, and people are fine. Like I've been talking about chaga for a long time, and now people are wanting to listen to these sorts of things, like, "Ooh, boost my immune system." It's like Purell for inside your body. I mean, that's the way I think about it, and you're helping keep the bad stuff out. So, what about best practices with chaga? Like any recommendations around how to take it, when to take it?
Yeah. So the most important thing when you're choosing chaga out in the marketplace is ensuring that it's been extracted. And what's so important, if when you guys all see the picture of chaga, you'll realize, whoa, that's really hard. And I can't imagine chopping that up or just eating it raw. It almost looks like a rock. It's really tough. And our bodies are actually not able to access any of those antioxidant properties, any of the nutrition inside the chaga, unless it's been extracted. And this is actually the case with all of our mushrooms, is that they have this compound in their cell wall. It's called chitin, and it's the same compound found in crustaceans. So think of like a lobster or shrimp or crab shell. Super, super tough, right?
Yeah.
And what this does is it almost acts like a door that's binding up all that incredible nutrition from our bodies being able to access it. So we're all at home right now. Think about this chaga cell wall as the door to your kitchen. And you know that there's all this awesome food in there. You have like your fruits and veggies and everything in your fridge, but there's no way that you can get in there unless the door has been opened.
Right.
So same thing with our chaga. This door must be broken open. And what we call that breaking open process is extraction. And I'm making such a point of it because I'm seeing more and more chaga out on the market that is just ground up raw chaga. It's just like a powder. And people are putting it in their smoothies and using it. And they're like, yeah, I don't really feel much. I'm like, yeah, it's like you have this incredible gold mine, this gold nugget, and it's just passing through you, right? You're not able to actually get anything in there. And so really important to have things be extracted. And what we've done for Sigmatic, we actually pre-extract everything. So we've already extracted the mushroom and then dehydrated the extract. So what you get in our powder, we've already done that process. So it's actually super bioavailable, ready for your body to metabolize and use right as it is. And, you know, we put chaga in all of our coffee, right? Because the flavor goes so well. It has all these antioxidant properties. It actually breaks down some of the acidity of the coffee, makes the coffee a lot easier on your stomach, lower in pH. And so that's a great, really perfect intro way to take it, especially if you're already a coffee drinker. It's just like elevating your coffee routine.
Nice. Now, I know a lot of people that mix chaga. I think it's with reishi. I've heard people talk about that. And also, would it make sense to mix chaga with cordyceps? Like, what kind of blending can we do here? Because I know I'll get questions about that.
Blending is highly encouraged. And it's almost, so when Yeah, we at Sigmatic wear a lot of different hats. I was our formulator for a while and got to play around and mix and do a bunch of stuff like that. But there's incredible synergy that happens, and I encourage matchmaking, right? Like playing and experimenting. So people are like, wait, I want the benefits of, that immune support from the chaga, and I also want to support my stress response. So can I combine? And the answer is yes, always. There is formulation and synergy is kind of a big topic. So there are certain things that will increase the potency or bioavailability of these compounds to the body, and certain things that will make it a little more difficult or less bioavailable for your body. So without getting too deep, or we can, up to you, or we'll do a 2.0 where we get deep with mixing and matching.
Yeah.
But encourage playing around and just experimenting. As I mentioned, these are whole kind of living organisms. And so there's a full synergy even within one mushroom itself, right? Just when we're taking like a full reishi extract or a full chaga extract, there's so many different things that are working together in that one mushroom to allow your body to kind of understand, oh, I'm taking this in and I'm going to react in a certain way. And so what's most important is starting slow and listening to your own body and then adjusting accordingly. So there isn't one dose that's right for everyone. There isn't even one dose that's going to be right for you all the time. That dose is going to change based on your stress levels, the season, what else you're eating. And so it's always like, okay, I'm gonna start, with 1 or 2 servings, depending on what product and brand you're using, and then listen and kind of build up or down, and just have an open mind, be creative and curious. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Playing.
I think so. As we play, as we experiment, the question, the all important question that pops up into my mind is, are there any no-nos? Like, oh no, don't mix those two because that could cause disaster pants. So anything like that, you're like, definitely, or even like, don't eat a high fat meal if you drink this, or have you found any combinations that are like, no, that upsets people's stomachs or anything like that?
Yeah. So if you want the most effect, I would recommend taking your functional mushrooms either first thing in the morning or end of day. And there are certain things that kind of increase the potency. So one of the biggest things is, so we'll kind of talk about both ends, but increasing the bioavailability of these compounds is vitamin C.
Okay.
So in our, what we call elixirs, they're kind of like our straight up mushroom line. Think of them like mushroom teas. We actually add rose hips extract in all of those because rose hips is so rich in vitamin C. Obviously, vitamin C, great for our immune system right now, and also kind of helping to potentize the compounds in these mushrooms. Otherwise, I really, especially, this is probably new to so many people, it's just like, again, medicine doesn't work if you don't take it. So more than trying to be super critical about like, oh, I'm not going to take it with this, as long as your mushrooms are, the actual mushroom, they're grown on the logs or wild harvested, grown on the woods they're found on naturally, and they've been extracted, then take them in whatever way it makes sense for you. Like, nice. There's really not a huge amount of kind of interactions that are going to be negative with other foods. Your body is going to be able to absorb them as long as you're taking them consistently as a routine. That's the most important.
Nice. Now, what about, like, let's say we've piqued their interest. Let's say that we got somebody that's totally new, never heard about functional mushrooms. We've piqued their interest, and now they're looking for a place to start. Like, what's the Sigmatic suggested starter kit that kind of ease people into the mushroom game?
Yeah. So there's 2. So we're kind of bookending, starting your day and ending your day. And I recommend starting your day, especially if you're a coffee drinker, with our mushroom coffee. it is real coffee. That's the first question I get. Like, ew, what does it taste like? But it's 100% organic Arabica coffee. It tastes just like coffee. It's delicious. But you're getting kind of your full supplement dose, 500 milligrams of extracted mushrooms in every cup. So starting your day with mushroom coffee is an awesome entry point. And then ending your day with, we have a mushroom cacao with reishi. So it's a superfood kind of European style hot chocolate that has only 2 grams of sugar per serving, which is coming from coconut. So we're a health and wellness brand. So all of our products are super low sugar. Most of them have none. If max is 2 grams, which I explain is like 1/10 of a banana. So kind of starting your day with that mushroom coffee and ending with that mushroom hot chocolate is a way to swap your nightcap, whether your nightcap is something sweet or a glass of wine. Like, this is just a better for you option to actually support your body unwinding and prepping for that deep night of rest.
And this will kind of give the stamp of approval from my standpoint. My kids love that hot cacao. Like, they'll do that before bed. And talk about, like, I know a lot of parents struggle to get their kids to bed. And now that we're dealing with, like, the kids are at home, school's not in session, and they're all wound up. Like, that's a nice way to kind of get that de-stress going. They enjoy it. They'll split a cup, and it helps them go to sleep a little bit easier. I love that. Yeah, and they like the taste, which is great. That's, if a kid will drink it, that's a good sign for taste, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing too. I really, I want people to know that so many times in the world of supplements or natural health, it's like, okay, I have to decide between something that works or something that works and tastes like shit, or something that's delicious and maybe it's not so good for me. And we're really trying to bridge that gap and say, this is effective, this is potent, and we also know it's really important that it tastes good for you to do it, especially consistently. Yeah. So our mushroom hot chocolate, it tastes like chocolate. Coffee tastes like coffee. Like, chai tastes like chai. They don't have some weird flavor that's foreign or that you have to get used to. And I know I'm probably a little bit biased, but they really taste like what they are.
Yeah. And people, I had a bunch, you guys were gracious to donate a bunch of samples at my live event last year, and I was passing them out. And it was funny at first because they come in little, like, square packets. And at first people thought I was passing out condoms, but they were reishi and lion's mane packets. And people were trying it right there and like, this tastes really good. So just getting people over the hump of mushroom. They're like, I've never eaten mushrooms in my life. And it's just like, think of tea, think of coffee. Don't even worry about the word mushroom. That's just supplement that in your mind with like vitamin tea, vitamin coffee, and get over it and put it in your body, and you'll feel a difference. And I'm a big supporter of everything for Sigmatic. So along that line, like, what's the best way to plug into the For Sigmatic universe and check out all the great things that they have going on?
Oh, we have so much going on. So definitely check out our website, forsigmatic.com. We also are really active on social. So our Instagram is @forsigmatic. And then we have Facebook as well. We've created a private Facebook group called the Shroom Club. And it's a private Facebook group with 20,000 members from all across the world. And it's just a safe space to talk about anything functional mushroom related. So I'll see on there people saying, I've taken reishi every night for a month, and this is what I'm experiencing. Anyone else? And, someone they've never met from another state or another country is like, oh, this is what happened to me. And just having this really beautiful forum to have conversation with people that are also engaging on this functional mushroom journey. And then we have a great newsletter. Most of them will come from me. So when you're on our For Sigmatic website, you can scroll down and type in your email and join us. And I like to send out educational emails about different mushrooms and different routines and fun recipes, tips about health and wellness beyond, just the mushrooms and herbs as well. So those are all great places.
You guys are putting out great stuff. And I love the company's sense of humor. Like, I love when, like, a company doesn't take themselves too seriously, and like their marketing, their packaging, they're like little funny things, and I really enjoy a company with heart, but also one that's a little bit funny that vibes well with me, and that's something I really enjoy about the peeps at for Sigmatic.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, I think for so many of us, it is foreign to be like, whoa, taking mushrooms, like you said at your retreat. But I want to remind people, I always say this, it's nothing new. Humans have been using these exact species of functional mushrooms for between 6 and 12,000 years in cultures all over the world. We're kind of just the last to catch on in the West. So it's not that we're like creating some new, like, whoa, trying reishi. Like, these are some of the most time-tested natural allies out there. And we're just repackaging them in a form that makes sense for the modern world. But really using these is ancient. And so knowing that, and then also realizing that there's a lot of stigma around mushrooms. And I think companies that try to dance around that, it just creates more distance. And so what we do is we lean in, we lean into the stereotypes, like our hashtags. We say like everyday magic and on shrooms. And it's like, it makes it fun. It makes it accessible. Like, we are so open, all of us as a company. It's like, ask any questions. Like, are these psychedelic? No, these are totally legal and safe. But just to be able to have that open door, like, ask us anything. This is safe. This is, it's just, it makes it so much easier and more comfortable for people to take that first step, knowing that it's fun. And it's this combination of being like, yeah, this is really serious, ancient, kind of powerful medicine. And we're making it fun, and we're drinking hot chocolate and, fun beverages. So kind of bridging that line is something that I love that we do. And I feel like it really aligns with a lot of people. It resonates. It feels good.
Yeah, and you got a good culture, a good community, and people are excited to be a part of that and learn from people that are facilitating that whole vibe. So, and I think that people that tune into my show, I have more of a relaxed pace, delivery, and things like that. So I feel like if you guys enjoy my vibe, you'll enjoy the vibe of the people over at For Sigmatic and our friend Danielle here. So check them out, forsigmatic.com, and I'll put all the links in the show notes. The social media stuff is awesome. You plugged into Danielle's newsletter. I didn't know that you wrote the newsletter. That's awesome. So now I feel like behind the scenes, so you guys will know when that newsletter pops through. That's our friend Danielle that's kicking that out to you. She types, she won't tell you this, but she types each one individually and sends them to you individually. So no, I'm just kidding. She'll do that.
Yep, everyone.
So Danielle, I appreciate you so much. I've been very excited about this interview for a while now. And again, it's a unique conversation I was really pumped to bring to my community here. And I appreciate you taking some time and investing it here with the Million Pound Mission Group.
Right on. It's been so fun. Thank you again for having me.
All right, everybody. Now it's time to set that implementation alarm. What are you going to do in the next 24 hours to start your journey towards using or even just investigating functional mushrooms? If one of the mushrooms that we talked about really sparked your interest, go on forsigmatic.com, research it, and maybe try some out and put it in your body for a 28-day cycle, and let's see what happens. So thanks again to Danielle. Thanks again to everybody at For Sigmatic. And now it's time to get out there and own it every meal, every workout, every day. I'll see you on the next episode. Hey, before I let you go, I want to remind you that I've recently opened up more spots on my calendar for some one-on-one strategy sessions. These are paid coaching sessions. It's a 45-minute session. We get together one-on-one video chat style. We're going to map out a 28-day game plan for your nutrition, your fitness, your goals, your danger zones, your cheat bank. We're going to map out your entire battle plan workbook together and make sure that you are set up to succeed for the next 28 days. If you feel like your momentum has been going in the wrong direction, tag in me, the PhD, and let's get together for a one-on-one strategy session. Head on over to millionpoundmission.com and get signed up today.